everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a romance reading vlog, specifically where I focus on some romance series that I'm currently in the middle of. So before I get into the video, please remember to like this video if you enjoy it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I primarily read fantasy, romance and a little bit of thrillers, so if that's your vibe, please stay around. So in this reading vlog, I'm going to be reading 4 romance books that are part of a series. The first one I'm going to be reading is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. This is the second and final book in the DNA Duo series. I'm then going to be reading Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is the second book in the Part of Your World series. After this one, I've just got one left to read. I'm then going to be reading A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. After I've read this one, I'll have 2 more left. And then I'll be reading The Goal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the Off Campus series. After I've read this one, I'll have the short story collection and then I'm finished with this series. So I have actually already started and finished reading The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. So in this one, we're following Fizzy and Connor. In the first book, we followed Jess and River. Fizzy is Jess's best friend, so Fizzy was present in the first book, and in the first one, Jess and Fizzy, they go to a cafe most days to work. Fizzy is an author. Jess is a freelance accountant. She's freelance so that she can fit her working hours around her daughter, who she's raising on her own. River is the creator of an app called Genetically or DNA Duo, I'm not quite sure, I think it's Genetically. Basically, you submit your DNA and the technology is able to find matches in the system based on compatibility with your DNA, and it's really cool. I've never read anything like that before. So that was the first book, was Jess and River, and this one we're following Fizzy, and Fizzy is a romance author. She's stuck in a bit of a rut. She's really struggling to write about romance. She had a few dates on the Genetically app, and the last one that she went on, she was seeing this guy called Rob, and it turns out that he was actually married and she was part of an affair and she had no idea, and this really upset her, and she basically lost all faith in love and like trust in men. Connor is a producer, and he primarily does like documentaries about animals and stuff, which is really cool. He's struggling to get funding for his new show, and to get ratings up on the channel, one of the main producers gives him an idea to do like a dating show, and he comes up with an idea to do it based around the Genetically DNA Duo app. He's got a child with his ex-wife and they get along quite well, and his ex-wife is a big fan of Fizzy, or Felicity is her author name. He sees her books on the shelf one day and he's just talking to his ex-wife, and he decides he wants to get Fizzy to be part of the dating show where basically she dates 8 guys and then the audience can vote to pick one who is going to be her boyfriend at the end, I guess. And yeah, so we go from there. I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed it, maybe not as much as the first one. I think Jess and River, like the soulmate equation, really does hold a little place in my heart. I did love that book, but this one was really good. I loved following Fizzy. Like, she was such a great character in the first book as well, and in this one she really comes into her own, and like it was really nice to be inside her head and see how she feels, and like how, you know, she's 37 years old and basically her family have kind of given up on her finding love, and it's like she's only 37, you know, she's still young, like she's not old or anything, like, and I guess she kind of feels the same way. She's kind of given up on it, and when her and Connor meet, like there's instant attraction, instant spark. So obviously Fizzy is like a auntie to Jess's daughter Juno. Obviously they're not related, but like, you know how friends can be aunties as well. Fizzy takes Juno and Connor takes his daughter Stevie. They go to a concert together that the girls really are into the band, and they just have a great night, and it was just really nice. Because they fall in love quite early on, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they fall in love and then they can't be dating because of this show that Fizzy's on, and obviously he's the producer of the show. You kind of end up rooting for the show to go wrong because you want them to be together, but you also don't want the show to go wrong because Fizzy needs this to like push her book sales as well, and maybe this will give her the spark to write her next book. But also Connor needs this show to go well, but to get funding for his animal documentaries. So yeah, it's like really conflicted because like you wanted them to be together and just sack off the show, but like they couldn't, they both needed it. But yeah, this is really good. I loved like the sense of found family here. I really appreciated as well how like Connor and his ex-wife, they still got along really well, and like Fizzy and the ex-wife get along really well, and like in the first book as well, like Juno doesn't begrudge River at all, like considering he's like the sort of the new dad figure. Like it was kind of like that in here with like the new mum figure, and yeah, I just really loved this one. And I will say that this sort of 3rd act breakup was really frustrating though. They're all about communication and being honest with each other, and then the minute it comes down to it, like they both kind of, neither of them want to listen to each other or give each other another chance, and that was really frustrating to read. I was just kind of like, you just sort of roll your eyes at the book. But other than that, I really enjoyed this one, and I'd highly recommend this series if you haven't already read it. Christina Lauren is slowly turning into one of my favourite romance authors, so yeah, highly recommend this one. And that is a romance series now completed. So the next book I'm going to be reading for this vlog is going to be Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Like I said, this is the second book in the Part of Your World series. I read Part of Your World back in maybe May last year and I absolutely loved it. I've also read The Friend Zone, which is the start of another series by Abby Jimenez, and loved that one as well. So I've got really high hopes going into this one, especially knowing that this is a lot of people's favourite in that series. So for me, I guess it's only up from here, but yeah, I'm really excited to get reading this one. Okay, so it's not been very long since I last checked in, but I am just under halfway through Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. So this one we're following Brianna, who is Alexis's best friend. Alexis was in the first book, and we're following Jacob, and Brianna is a doctor at the hospital that Alexis also worked at. She's up for like a promotion. I think it's like the chief of emergency medicine or something like that. It's a very big promotion, and she thinks she's kind of the only one running because no one else is running. The previous person who ran for it was Alexis, and she's obviously left the hospital. She no longer works there, and Jacob moves, he gets a job at the hospital, and he was actually like the chief of emergency medicine at his old hospital. So the current chief is putting off his retirement until they find a replacement for him, and he wants to put Jacob in the line of running for this. Brianna's obviously quite upset because she thought that the job was kind of hers, only because she's worked there for 10 years and she feels like she's earned it, which she has. And it turns out that Jacob is not actually interested in this promotion at all. He doesn't even know that he was in the running for it. That's kind of where we're at with like the job front. Brianna's brother is suffering from like kidney failure and he needs a donor. He's got a very rare blood type or something, so I'm not really sure how all that works. It is explained, but it kind of just goes over my head. He's very difficult to get a match for, and Jacob, literally after meeting Brianna, they don't really get along. They kind of butt heads quite a bit. His mum received a kidney donation years ago and he's always wanted to pay it forward, and he puts himself forward to be tested to see if he's a match for Brianna's brother, and it turns out he is. So he is actually going to donate his kidney. He wants to do it anonymously, but then is very quickly let slip that he's actually the donor. Prior to this, they obviously don't get along at first. There's a bit of like miscommunication, misunderstanding. Jacob, he suffers from social anxiety, so sometimes he struggles to read like cues in a room, and sometimes he doesn't know how to like best react in a social situation. So some of the things he does doesn't come across very well to Brianna. As soon as he explains what happened, they get along really well and they start exchanging letters to one another, and then they kind of develop into a friendship from there. None of that is a spoiler, by the way, about the kidney donation. It's all on the back of the book. It's in the synopsis. Brianna's found out that he's going to be donating his kidney to her brother. He asks her, not like in return, he was going to ask her anyway without her knowing about the kidney donation, is will he be his fake girlfriend for a few months. So basically at the start of this book, he meets his brother and his ex-girlfriend. So this girl that he went out with like 2.5 years, they broke up, and then like 3 weeks later she started dating his younger brother, and the entirety of his family, Jacob's family, have like been not on board with this relationship and have like ostracized him from the family to, you know, be on Jacob's side, because it is a bit of a shitty thing for them to have done. And then they tell Jacob that they're actually gonna get married, and like, do they have his blessing and stuff, and he's like quite happy with it. He like loved her, but like they weren't really a very good match, and he basically tells his entire family he's got a girlfriend, so like he's quite happy for them to get married, like he doesn't care anymore. And then they obviously want to meet the girlfriend, and a bit of a mishap in the hospital. One of his sisters thinks that Brianna is his girlfriend, so that's why he asks Brianna basically to be his fake girlfriend. Brianna has no interest in being anyone's girlfriend at the moment. She's literally just gotten divorced. Literally in the book, on the day that they found out about the kidney donation is the day that the divorce was finalised, so she's really not looking to date at the moment. She's kind of written off men. I don't really say I blame her. So yes, that's where we're up to with this one so far. I have to say, there was like, when the whole kidney donation thing was going on, I didn't really cry. Like, that was really emotional. Abby Jimenez really does know how to like pull at your heartstrings and stuff, and I'm just dreading like what is going to make me cry in this book, because both of her books that I've read previously have made me cry. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far. I can see why this is a lot of people's favourite in the series. I have to say, I'm really loving this one so far. I'm loving both of our characters. I think Abby Jimenez does sort of like a bit of a miscommunication trope quite well, because it is always quite quickly resolved. I find in a lot of romance books it gets dragged on a bit. So there was a bit of miscommunication at the start, and then they exchanged the letter, and then it was like resolved, which was quite nice to see, because I hate when it's dragged out. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far. It hasn't taken me long to read at all. I'm absolutely loving it, and yeah, I'm gonna dive back into this one now, and I'll check back in with you guys probably when I'm done now, because I don't I'm only under halfway. It shouldn't take me too long to read, but yeah, loving this one so far. I think Abby Jimenez has done it again. So I'm just checking back in. I have now finished reading Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and yeah, she's done it again. I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. What I really love about Abby Jimenez is that you have this like romance going on, but it's so much more deeper than that. You really get the characters coming into themselves and overcoming difficult things in their life. And like, again, with this couple, it was both of them that had gone through or were going through difficult times. So Jacob struggles with social anxiety and just like being around lots of people. Brianna is coming out of a marriage, she's getting divorced, and there's a lot of things going on with that. So she was cheated on, and just a lot going on, and like she has a lot of trauma from men in her life. Her dad walked out on her mum when she was pregnant with her brother, and there's not really been any man that she can rely on. So not when things get tough, but when there's a potential for a man to wrong her, she kind of like sabotages the situation in the relationship so that they can't hurt her, she hurts them. And yeah, it's like both of them sort of working through their issues, like both of them working through things and coming to be together, and just like the support system as well. Like Jacob's family were overbearing but just so supportive, even of Brianna as well. And like Brianna's mum was such a lovely person, and just like seeing Alexis and Daniel from the first novel as well being there to support these current characters was just so nice to see. So yeah, I did tear up a few times. Didn't actually cry, but I did tear up a few times. Just some of the like things that like Brianna said were just like, they really hit, you know. And yeah, Abby Jimenez, if you ever want to cry if you want a romance that's going to make you cry, read her. But yeah, this was absolutely fantastic, 5 stars. So the next one I'm going to read for this vlog is A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. So I'm just checking back in. I have started and finished reading A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver, and I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. So I kind of want to preface this by saying I'm not really enjoying the Gold Rush Ranch series as much as I enjoyed the Chestnut Springs series, and I don't know why. I kind of feel like with the Chestnut Springs series you saw more of the relationship, whereas with Gold Rush Ranch you kind of see the build up and then they get together and that's it. There's no sort of seeing the relationship, if that makes sense. Whereas yeah, with the Chestnut Springs series you kind of saw them doing coupley things. So yeah, this one follows Violet and Cole. Violet is the sister of the Eaton boys from the Chestnut Springs series, and Cole is Vaughn's brother from the first book. And they met online a couple of years ago. Violet was posting like nude photos online to like boost her confidence, and Cole was looking at them and they were conversing, but they never actually met. And then when Violet raced in the Denham Derby in the previous book, Cole was there and they actually met, and they kind of realised who each other was, and we go from there. Now I did like Violet as a character and I did like Cole as a character. Cole is, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he's going through a lot. He is a veteran. He fought in Iraq, and the stuff going on there that we find out in this book, he's really struggling and his life has completely changed because of the war, and he can't really cope with what's going on. He's really struggling, and Violet is just Violet. To be honest, I liked them as characters. I just don't love the relationship, again because I don't really feel like we saw much of it. Like they had obviously already met and encountered each other, and there was flashbacks to that in this book, but I don't know, there was just something about it I didn't really love. Like when they got together I was just kind of like, cool. Like it just didn't really bother me, if that makes sense. Like I did really enjoy it. Like I do love Elsie Silver as an author, I do love the small town romances. I just didn't love this one. And then the ending, obviously they do in the end get together. That's not really a spoiler, it's a romance book. I just kind of feel like the epilogue was just really not Violet. And yeah, I'm just like, I don't know, I kind of have mixed feelings on this one. Like Violet and Cole really fit well, like maybe just as friends. Like I feel like maybe Cole isn't quite ready to dive back into a relationship with everything that he's been through, and Violet's kind of like pushing that. Cole is 10 years older than Violet, and I feel like that really comes across in the fact that she's not immature, but like he's really struggling with life and she's just kind of like, why don't you love me? And like, girl, you know what he's been through. Like he opened up and she knows things about him that like not even his own brother knows. I don't know, I didn't love this one, hence why I've given it a 3.5. I know that the Gold Rush Ranch series was published before the Chestnut Springs, and I kind of feel like her writing has come on a long way since this. But yeah, I still did enjoy it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I just didn't love it as much as her other works, and I will be continuing on with this series. I've only got 2 books left after this one. So yeah, glad I read that one. It was a quick read, really compelling. in. Like, even though I didn't love the relationship, I still enjoyed reading about it, if that kind of makes sense. I don't really feel like I'm making a lot of sense, but yeah, I just didn't love this installment in the series. So then the final book I'm going to be reading for this vlog is The Goal by Elle Kennedy. All I know about this one, it follows Tucker and Sabrina. I don't really know much other than that, so I'll get started on this one and I'll check back in with you guys when I've got an update. So I've started reading the final book for this vlog, which is The Goal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the off-campus series. So in this one we're following Tucker and Sabrina. Sabrina has goals of going to law school and getting herself out of a bad situation that she's in, and Tucker is one of the ice hockey guys who's friends with Garrett. In this one they meet at a party, they have a one-night stand. Tucker wants to see her again, Sabrina's very hesitant to see him again, and eventually they do start kind of dating. On the back it says about how very quickly on Sabrina and Tucker end up having a baby. Sabrina gets pregnant accidentally at 22. I've just read about 47% of this book. I'm just under halfway and we've only just gotten to that point where she's discovered that she's pregnant, and I'm a bit confused about the timeline of these books, because in the first book that's Garrett and Hannah's storyline, and then Logan and Grace happens after that because Hannah features in that book. Dean's book and Tucker's book seem to happen alongside each other, but after the first two. So like the first two were one after the other, and then the third and fourth one seem to run like parallel to each other, because there's mentions of like Dean and Ali in here, like the incident in the bathtub and stuff. That's discussed in here as if it's just happened. And then obviously at the end of Dean's book is when Tucker says to him that he's going to be a dad. So considering that happened in the previous book, we've taken half of this book to get to that. I'm just a bit confused about the whole timeline of this series, because it seemed to be one after each other and now we're running parallel. It's just a bit confusing, that's all. I am enjoying this one so far. I really like Sabrina as a character. Tucker, I'm not really sure on. I just feel like we need to see a bit more of him, more of his past. Like, we've had a little bit about his mum and stuff, but there's not much like backstory to him. It's mainly following like Sabrina and like her hard upbringing, and like the fact that she lives with her ex stepdad and her nan, and her stepdad's a creep, and like, I don't know, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this one. I am enjoying it. Like, I flew through that first sort of half of the book, but yeah, it's taken like half of the book to sort of get to the synopsis and get to the point where we knew what was going to happen from Dean's book. So I'm just kind of like, let's go let's get a move on. It's taken a long time to get to information that we already have, if that makes sense. So yeah, I am enjoying this one so far still. It's definitely not my favourite. I think my favourite in the series is still the second book and then the first book. But yeah, I'm enjoying this series and hopefully I can finish this one pretty quickly. It didn't take me long to read the first half, so it shouldn't take me long to read the second half. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far, even if I am getting a bit muddled up about the whole timeline of things. So I'm just coming in to wrap this reading vlog up. I have now finished reading The Goal by Elle Kennedy. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. I think the latter half of the series isn't my favourite of the series. I much preferred books 1 and 2 to 3 and 4. I did really like Sabrina and Tucker as a couple. It did take, like I said in the previous update, it took a while to sort of catch up to what we knew was going to happen from the third book. But yeah, the second half of this book was definitely an improvement, because obviously it was a lot of new information, seeing them, will they, won't they, as a couple kind of thing, and obviously and seeing what happens with Sabrina's pregnancy. I really did enjoy this one, so much so that I just went ahead and read The Legacy by Elle Kennedy, finishing out this series. This is a selection of 4 novellas that follows each of the couples a couple of years after graduation, and this was really cute as well. I gave this one 4 stars. All I've realised from reading this this novel, this set of novellas, is I really don't like Dean and Ali. But yeah, back to this one. I really did enjoy Sabrina and Tucker as a couple. They certainly grew on me. I really loved Tucker as a main character, and I also loved how he wasn't pressuring Sabrina into anything, like a relationship, a friendship, anything. It was all on her terms, and I just think like this is the bare minimum of guys nowadays. Like, you know, she said that she didn't want to have a relationship with him. He respected that, you know, shoot your shot and all that, but you know, no means no kind of thing. Obviously this is a romance. They did obviously end up together, but yeah, it was really nice the way it was done, and this was definitely like a bit of a different story to the previous 3 installments in this series. So there we have it. That's me reading some romance series. So that's going to be it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books or any of these series. Let me know what you think of them. Please don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye!